meet Title 22 standards, right, to be able to use for topical irrigation. Because that's what you said, one of the things is we could use it to irrigate the plants in the planter or the landscaping or wherever we put this unit at the Civic Center. My next question is, since the way that you guys have designed this is to capture and treat runoff from the roof, say you have a really big roof and we get a pretty heavy rain, that's a lot of water coming down off the roof. I know you can design. Have you guys done any calculations on roof size and what your system has done?
They hadn't, but they will.
But they will. So just know that you're going to have to do some math. You're going to have to look at the Civic Center and the roof size and calculate the amount of runoff that you're going to be getting during a rainstorm. And will your system be able to handle that?
One thing we had was I've seen in the house you have the.
Gotta talk loud. The train's going by. Wait.
If you're asking questions like how do you calculate that, we'll deal with that later.
I'm kind of giving this. In houses they have pipes that all the water goes into from the roof, so you could. What I'm saying is funnel all the water into one section, but the collection tank is going to collect it not just from roof runoff. It could also do it from hill runoff. So just a source where that won't rely on rain falling there, but where rain or stormwater or precipitation is going to come from.
Okay. I think, if we're talking specifically about the new City Hall and Civic Center application, where we have landscaping would primarily be adjacent to a structure where there'd be a roof. So I think that would be your main source of input into your system, would be coming from the roof.
Right.
So something that our first target for where this would be, where our model would be placed, would be in household applications,
Right.
where people would put in your backyard, things like that. So, we haven't really done this yet. We could maybe have another storage that would collect extra water or examples of that.
All of these things that you're talking about right now are what we call design issues.
Right.
So what we're looking for now is more of a policy issue.
Sure.
Will you allow us
Yeah.
to do this, and what is it that you will allow us to do? And then we'll design this application to fit where it goes. Everything from here into this is more science, and what we're getting into now is more engineering, applying it to something specific. But this is the man who has to give us a green light or a slightly green light or something, so that we know whether we can continue it.
And
He's not judging you from FLL standards, right? He's sort of a door, if you think about it that way, right? To the city of Del Mar, and whether or not we can try to figure out how you could engineer this idea specifically, not for rural areas, not for household, but for specifically this new Civic Center. Does that make sense? And what are the things?
And let me just throw in that the Civic Center is like the jewel of the city. It's just kind of by nature. So if they say that we can continue with the concept, we have to prove to them that it will work and that it will be a good thing. And because no one would want the jewel of the city to have a bad thing in it. So there's a lot of work left to do if we get permission or an indication that we can move forward.
Can one of you restate for me what you heard Clem saying as one possible issue that he'd want you to research and get back to him on besides the Title 22?
One possible issue is if it requires electricity, it might be a difficult or a hassle to implement that.
Okay, Will?
Another possible issue is that the roof size to the system size, so how much water our system can handle.
Right, so he wants you to specifically figure out, okay, in an average rainstorm, and then you've got this roof size, about how much water are you going to capture, and can your system handle that, and if not, what's going to happen to the rest, etc.
And also another solution that could happen was this isn't on an only one-time thing, because there could be many in one spot.
Okay.
And
So you would link them together.
Right,
Yeah.
we call it multiple chambers or pipes. And from research, we learned that biofiltration can clean a lot of contaminants, including heavy metals, arsenic metals, and larger sediments.
So talk to me a little bit about the other. I'm trying to think of all the obstacles you might face in getting this installed and how we could remove those barriers, right? One of them that somebody have to maintain the system, right? So put some thought and let me know, and if you don't have the answers today, that's okay. Maybe when you come back, but maybe you know right now, but what kind of maintenance would it require long term? Like if you want to make this a permanent installation at the Civic Center, somebody's going to have to maintain it, right? And what will that entail?
Right. So that's just a point for you to research. You don't need to answer that,
That's
right?
Because I'll have
These
to
are the-
assign that work to somebody.
Yeah.
Right? So I would want to know, how often does somebody have to check the plants and the soil and the connections and just make sure that it's functioning properly and not causing a problem, and things like that. I mean, that's just something that if we're going to take ownership of something like this, we would want to know so we could plan for.
It's very important.
And cost, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have costs?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be another thing the city would have, before we would agree, we would have to kind of know what our budget would be.
That's what we are going to research.
So we talked about some design issues and some engineering issues. We talked about some regulations about water quality in Title 22. We talked about maintenance, operation maintenance, and we talked about costs. Those are kind of like, I think, the key issues. I can't give you an answer today about whether we can move forward, but what I can give you is my promise that I'm going to take this proposal to the assistant city manager, who's my boss, who is actually the project manager for the Civic Center project. She makes all the final decisions. She's the big cheese, so to speak, on what goes in and what doesn't go in. And I'm happy to carry your presentation and your project forward as an idea to see what she thinks. And then, I'm not the door, she's the door, right? You have to convince, but I can be your advocate.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah,
He's the knob.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy that could go knock on that door for you.
Yeah, so I'll ask both of you, but would we be able to present to her, or?
Possibly. I can ask her. She's really busy. I have a hard time meeting with her, but I am actually going to meet with her this afternoon, and I'm going to let her know that we met today. And then I'm incredibly impressed with your proposal. I think there's a few things you need to tighten up, do a little bit of additional research, kind of have more of a complete proposal that we can then pitch to her, and I can help you pitch it to her if you want.
Thank you.
Very good.
Because that's what these guys have not done. They're 11, they're 6th graders at one of the elementary schools. But what they haven't done is take research and turn it into proposals, right? And what that entails. But that's part of learning.
A lot of things that look good on paper, when you actually go to do it, and Dan, he's an engineer, he can tell you, when you go into the field to actually build it, you go, that's not going to work like I thought it was going to work. And you have to kind of on the fly, you have to redesign it or re-engineer it, and to get it to work. And so just be prepared and don't let that set you back, because that will happen.
Has that happened to you guys at all with the robots so far?
Yeah.
And that engineering is part of what,
Yeah.
that's what's going on, right? And, what you figured out.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I had
Awesome.
one more question. I think I saw the answer in your proposal, but just for my edification, can you tell me about why you're proposing different types of plants in the different chambers?
We're doing different plants in different chambers to target different contaminants in the water, so that we can get a wide variety of contaminants, because some plants might not take out
I see.
all the contaminants.
Also,
Smart.
it could you're made on location, like cacti would get more water than it's needed, so for the places that are really deserty, for bullishes.
So their natural environment, because since we were focused on California, so we thought desert and cacti as well. They're also succulent, so they don't take as much water, so there's two advantages. But as they say, the two main reasons we have different plants we represented in this model is plants may specialize in different contaminants that they need to get rid of, or
Can I make a
and-
suggestion? When you're talking, you're saying some very important things. Look at him.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot,
He
right?
can't
We got to
hear-
do that. This
he
is
can't
the
hear.
gracious professionalism, right? We need the eye contact and the projection.
and the environment that the plants would do best in, because some plants can't.
Okay, so you put some thought into that. I have two more questions that just popped into my mind that I think you guys need to think about to make your proposal even better. So if you're aiming to have this installed, say at the new Civic Center, and you know that the source of runoff is going to be the roof, maybe you should do some research on what is the roof material. So what potential pollutants could be coming into your system from that application, and then you could tailor your plants
Exactly.
to that specific application, because you know, like say it's a metal roof. Well, you know that on metal roofs it could be copper or zinc or some type of dissolved metal that's coming off, and maybe there's a certain type of plant that's really good, that's what it likes to eat or whatever, you know.
Fern can take out heavy metals.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm not going to give you the answer because I think you can research what
Yeah.
that is and maybe tailor that. The second thing I just thought of is, you know, in San Diego, what type of rain patterns do we get here? Do we get rain all year round?
No,
No.
definitely
Maybe around maybe once to twice a month.
Okay.
Something like that.
And when we do get rain, do we just get a little bit or do we get a lot of it?
You know,
not. Depends.
Okay, it does depend. But a lot of times we get a lot, right?
Yeah.
All at once, and then we don't get anything for a long time. So if your system is relying on a rain barrel or a cistern to capture that rainwater, say you get a whole bunch at once, how are you going to manage that water moving through your system if you can go months without having any water? Are your plants going to need additional watering during the dry season when we're not getting runoff coming off the roof?
What we were also thinking is to have a possible input of gray water, like water used from a washing machine or a sink, and then running that through the system.
that was like, I think like, our main focus was stormwater, because that's a bit simpler, but we also have thoughts about like possibly implementing some systems from gray water, such as washing machines.
Well, just know, I think that's really good, that's really important, and that's a challenge we have in San Diego with rain barrels, right? Is that we get a lot of water at once, and then we go for long stretches without having any. And so, you know, just think about that when you continue to evolve your design. And just know that if you know, introducing a gray water input, it's like the electrical, right? It's just another complication and more engineering that has to be done, more expensive, things like that, more maintenance. So just keep those concepts, write them out, you know, document that you've thought through all that.
Okay.
I think those are my questions. I hope that's good feedback.
That
That's
is
excellent.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
A
you.
lot of the feedback we've been giving isn't about engineering, it's more about the science behind it. So I think it's really good that we have some engineering feedbacks as well, because that's an important factor.
Oh, I thought of one more thing
Ooh.
that would help. I think that would help sell this if there's an educational component with the system, whether it be a sign or something that teaches people about what it does that are walking through the Civic Center. Right? Otherwise, some people might not even notice it, or not. They won't even know that it's doing work, right?
Yeah, we could like.
Because it's going to blend into the landscaping. But you need, you know, if we're going to make this a demonstration project, you need to have some kind of, we call it like interpretive signage. And that really all that needs is some educational material, like if you were at a park and you wanted to read about a wetland or something like that, like a sign that it maybe shows a picture of the system and how it works.
Yeah, we could have like a wood post or something next to explaining what our method does, but what's happening.
You
And
could even incorporate stuff that's in this brochure right now.
Okay?
And I
All right.
also,
Awesome. Thank you.
Those are my questions. Oh yeah, do you have something else to add?
so I wanted to say as well, another advantage of using plants is they provide oxygen and other good biofriendly things that help
Okay,
the environment.
thank you for bringing that up. So another way that you can sell, right, because you want to sell your product idea with the assistant city manager, is the city of Del Mar has a climate action plan to address climate change and greenhouse gas